Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Today we've got a broken Makita drill in for repair. We're going to see if we can fix her up. And this one is an oldie. This is the HR2450. It looks like 2005. 20 years old. Let's see if we can get her running again. And the first thing is what's wrong with it. Right, that's probably what's wrong. Burnt out. Right, is this going to be worth fixing or not? She's 20 years old and clearly quite a bit of work done. Some of these armatures aren't too bad a price. Some of the newer ones are a little bit more expensive, but the older ones can be cheap. Depends if I have one in stock. If I have one in stock, I'll fix it. If not, well, I don't know if I'll order one or not. Depends on the price. I'll see if she hammers here first, and if she still hammers, then we'll fix. Then we'll see about fixing it. Okay, she's making the right noise anyway. It is attempting to hammer. There's a wee bit of impact out of it. Obviously not very much because it's barely moving, because it is burnt out. It's running very, very slow. I'll check the computer here and see if we have any of these here in stock for a 110 volt. It might be, because it is an old machine. I can already feel the heat coming out of that. I go into the computer. Inside the computer, there's the old software. It's on an old CD-ROM, and it doesn't go over to the new computer, so we have to do it this way. This is just a whole hard drive of the old Dell PC, actually saved onto the new one, but that still has the old Makita software on it. So we can still look up the old part numbers. God, the graphics were great, weren't they? So what is she? HR2450. Right, armature 110. It's been changed, so that's the old number, and this is the new one. So 515661/8. And if I go on to stock, 515661-8, I have 3 in stock at €51 each. That's the list price, so my price likes to be a little bit less than that. Now the next thing is to find it. Scooch over. Well, 2 in stock. Must have used one of them. I have to adjust that. €16 and $14.30. Must have been bought on it 2 different times, 2 different prices. We'll go with the cheaper one. So that has actually been up on the shelf for longer than I've even been working here. Sitting quite a while now. A bit discoloured on the com bar, but that's just age. NMB bearings on them. Right, one in stock anyway, so we can see if we can fix it or what's worth fixing. Luckily these ones, the armature's actually not all that difficult to change. No special tools required. PH2 bit. Take off the back cover. Pull out the brushes. We'll more than likely need to replace them as well. This is still hot. I'm trying to run this. brushes are well burnt out as well. So yeah, we'll replace them. Doesn't matter. If they're only a little bit worn, I would still be replacing them. Sometimes when they're like that, their customers will actually fit a new set of brushes thinking that's the problem. And with a fresh set on, I just might use the new set unless they're already been damaged from the bad armature. When they're old set like that, always replace them. There's not much point in putting in an expensive motor and running them with old worn out brushes. Clearly this has seen a bit of work because even the screws are full of cement. And we just want the motor out. Alright, we're going to need a field as well. Or are we? We might get away with it, you know. Needs a cleaning now. Yes, that's what was holding it back. That is still scalding hot. People don't always know or know how to tell when a motor's gone. You don't need a thermal imaging camera. But when it's that hot, at 60 degrees after running for just a few seconds, you know the motor's gone. You actually feel the heat being blown out by the front of the machine. That's roasting. Look at that. Totally gone. The field is more than likely okay. It's a little bit dirty, but I think the windings are grand. Normally whenever this starts overheating and burning, you get the plastic, the actual windings will shrink, expand and actually squeeze and melt the plastic, and the plastic will actually squeeze out here. But as you can see, that's okay. So we might get away with that field. Fields, when they fail, normally just stop working completely. Armatures start burning. So that's gone. You see the segments that are gone. That one there, there's she is there, look. That's the bar that's actually gone, look. It's done plenty of work, mind you. Right, need to give that a little bit of a clean. Turn that off again. You don't need this at all. It's just a way to show the heat. So no tools really required. Just give it a wee tug. It should pull out. We do need this back piece. It's a little plastic or rubber sleeve. Get rid of that. It's not too dirty, but we'll give it a quick wee wipe down on the parts washer, just to get rid of some of the grease and some of the dirt inside of here, because we don't want this binding up on the new one. And yes, I know, this parts washer desperately needs a clean. Now, that's it freshened up. You probably thought that was a black piece of plastic taking it out, but it's actually clear. Just that much dirt on it. Now, this might look risky putting this into the parts washer with all the electronics, but it's actually not that bad. You're fine getting this wet as long as you don't actually soak it. I wouldn't go pouring the liquid over the top of the switch, but you're fine getting the feeding all wet. Even if it was water, light splash is fine. But kerosene is not going to do it any harm at all, as long as it's dry before you actually start it up. So get a bit of, blow it out with an air compressor afterwards, get the excess, and then get something like electrical contact cleaner. Just give another wee spray to get all the last bits of dirt and definitely get all the liquid off it. Then dry it away again with an air compressor. That'll take off the last of the electrical contact cleaner. Or, as I was actually using this time, carburetor cleaner. This is also great for cleaning them too. So that'll actually break off the dirt too and get it out. You can also use brake cleaner, but brake cleaner is a little bit more risky for like stuff like rubber, because that'll actually eat away the glue and the rubber itself. So carb cleaner is a wee bit better. It's an in-between electrical contact cleaner and brake cleaner. Does a wee bit better than the electrical cleaner and less aggressive than the brake cleaner. But that's how you get them all cleaned out. As long as it's not wet when you switch it on, it doesn't matter if you're washing it out. Now, this is a really cheap plastic part, but it's only an air deflector. It's just helping the air get through the machine and focusing it on the actual armature itself. And on this part, it's just dropping on here. But before we do that, I want to just top up the grease. Don't actually know how much is on here, and I'm not going to open it up to find out. So I'm just going to top it up a little bit, and this is heavier gear grease as well. So if the O-rings are a little bit worn, the grease inside might be a little bit light. The heavier gear grease will help give it a better seal. That on there, and do not forget about this little ring. That is actually centering the bearing. She's not going to run for long without that. Push them together, and that should be the new armature. And for fairly cheap too, seeing as it's an old stock part, it could easily be 20 years old, the armature itself, or 20 years lying in this workshop. So it'll leave the price from 20 years ago, which will be a lot less than today. Set of brushes now. CB419 for this one. Now as well, this is just a perfect example of why people actually like Makita tools. This is why they're still popular, because they are repairable and they last. 20 years old and she's still able to be fixed up. That's a testimony to Makita quality. You pay for a high priced machine, you expect it to last. But that's why people like these. This is not a high priced machine. This is a basic model back in the day, the 2450. This wouldn't have been very expensive. There was way more expensive models than this. But even still, it can still be fixed up and it still lasted 20 years of work. That's why people like them. That's why you see older boys still using Makita tools over anything else, because they have good experiences with them. And I think that's what a lot of brands are starting to forget. Reputation might be one thing, but people remember. If you're buying 2 or 3 machines and they don't last very long, you don't tend to keep buying that brand. But if you have one machine that's 20 years old and still running and running and running, and it wasn't even all that expensive, you have way more faith in that brand and you're more likely to buy them again. So that's why Bosch and Makita always seem to do well. Like the GSH11E or the GRW11E, the old mix and drill. Boys that have them 20 or 30 years and they're still running, gives them faith in the brand, and they're more likely to keep buying the brand. Even if a modern drill doesn't last as long, the old one still gives them faith that the new one should still be as good. And Makita put a lot of effort into keeping their machines running. Even this year, you can still buy the parts for after 20 years. Now, what does she run like? runs like a new machine again. That's what we want for not all that much money. Listen to that. Still sounding smooth and still hammering like she should, like a new machine. Don't know if it was the grease that burnt it or if she was still running like that, but that thing is hammering just like she should be, even after 20 years of work. That is why people buy Makita. They seem to sell their stuff on their actual reliability, on their name, their reputation, not just in advertising. People buy the stuff and it lasts and it can be fixed and can do 20 years of work. You'll always go back and buy again. That's her, up and running again, ready for another 20 years of work. As always folks, if you're liking the videos, give us a wee like and don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. But till next time, I'll chat to you later.